Josh Taylor, and I'm the Commissioner of the Elite American Football League. Oh, well, a lot to take in initially. I was very surprised just to get the initial phone call from Dan Reed as well as you yourself, Matt, and it was just one of those things I really didn't expect to see coming, but to be considered, much less to even be offered the position of Commissioner, was a very high honor, and I was very humbled and honored and very proud to be able to accept it, and I'm just kind of feeling my way out and trying to get a good game plan to hit the ground running. Yeah, I mean, a couple things I've never been, used to before. I'm still getting used to being called Mr. Commissioner. That's gonna take a while, but yeah, like you said, I'm still kind of new to the whole minor league football spectrum. I mean, I was just on the broadcasting end, so granted, I have had some other management experience and leadership positions also. So, I mean, it's a little bit of a challenge for me, but I believe that as long as you understand what your focus is and what your goals are, and you understand that the focus is for the promotion of the league, the promotion of the players, and that's your product, that's what you're trying to sell, and that it's the talent of these young men that are out in the field every night. I think as long as you understand that and you make every effort you put towards that end, you shouldn't have that many problems. Yeah, one thing I'm actually very impressed with is one of the things that drew me to this league when I was first offered the position is the attention towards professionalism. All of the owners that I've talked to and the people that are the GMs, the guys that are running these teams, they want to bring a certain level of expectation, a certain level of professionalism to the table. They want to actually operate these teams, not just as teams that are playing in certain places, but they want to operate them as businesses. They want them to be effective. They want them to be very well promoted. They want them to be very efficient as far as sponsorships and trying to raise money and trying to, do things at the right level. And as long as you actually consider yourself at a certain level of expectation and you work towards that certain standard, I think as long as you perform at that level, you expect great things and you'll get great things in return. Oh, we got a great region of football. We're talking teams in Pennsylvania, Ohio, West Virginia, New York, Michigan. I mean, you want to talk about Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Ohio alone, some great players that have come out of there over the years. I mean, you can talk all day about Western Pennsylvania, but also with Ohio. But you're talking about a good cluster of states that have great traditions of football, and you're talking about 4 teams in the Pittsburgh area alone. I think it's going to be very exciting to see. I think all the teams in Ohio, you're talking a bunch of different cities, eastern, western, northern, southern Ohio. They're going to come from all corners. They're coming from all areas, and these teams going against each other, seeing the 4 Pittsburgh teams duke it out, the teams in Michigan, some cross-state and some cross-regional battles going on. It's going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to be great because all these teams are within 4 or 5 hours of travel, maybe 6 hours at the most. So the drives aren't as long, the travel time is minimal. So you'll see a lot of good crowds coming in, traveling for different games. I think it's great for the teams that travel. I think it's great for the teams that have people coming in. You'll see some good turnouts, I think. Absolutely. That's something that we're absolutely excited about, and I'm cheering very loudly and very forcefully for the West Virginia Lightning. I wish them all the best of luck. It would be nothing more, it would be no more of a prouder thing to start our inaugural season by saying, look, one of the teams we have in this league is national champion. We also have another team that's won national championship 3 times. That's a lot of tradition, a lot of excellence and success you bring into a league to start your first year. So to say we have the team on the top of the mountain as national champion as our first league, that's a great thing for the league. And let's not just say just for the West Virginia Lightning, not just for Monroe County Sting, but for the league as a whole. Things like this bring credibility. They bring a standard that we want to try to meet with every team in the league. It is, and we're trying to do it on a small scale. Obviously, we're not the NFL. Obviously, we're not the UFL. We're running this on a much smaller scale, but that doesn't mean it can be run with a certain standard of excellence, with a certain standard of class, and with a certain standard of professionalism. We do want to maintain some kind of integrity with how we run the league, and statistical analysis will be one of them, and communication will be another, because we want this league to have credibility right off the bat. We don't want to just try to feel our way through in the dark for a while and hopefully grasp onto a rope somewhere. We want to come in from the very beginning knowing that we have a certain standard, and knowing from whether it's from a statistical standpoint, from a sponsorship standpoint, that we mean business and we mean it in a very effective manner. And we want this league for people to know when they see the Elite American Football League or the teams that participate in it, that this league is serious, that it's a serious breeding ground for players that want to move to the next level, or for guys that just want to keep playing for the love of the game. We want them to know that, look, when you come in, we're going to treat you as though you have a certain standard of expectation, and we're going to bring that out for you from the very beginning. Absolutely. I mean, we have very realistic goals starting out. We've talked about what we want to do as far as from a business standpoint with the league. We've talked about what we want to do as far as a competition standpoint with the league. So we know what we have to do going forward. But obviously at the same time, we want to set goals that we can reach to start out. You don't want to jump too far. You want to look before you leap. So obviously we want to keep our goals steps at a time. you can't do this all right away. You know, the saying goes, a journey of 1,000 miles is began by a single step. So we're going to go one step at a time, but they're going to be very, very well measured steps. We're not going to take baby steps here. We're going to take some big steps. We're going to take some moderately sized steps, if you will. But like you said, we're working our way towards our goals. But we're going to start out in a very good foot, hopefully. Specifically, I'd like to see a lot of success with individual teams as far as their business aspects, corporate sponsorship, local sponsorship, just trying to find new ways to generate marketing dollars for each team, because the more money each team markets, the easier it is for the league to carry on, the easier it is for each team to carry on, and everybody has to pull their weight. That's one thing I want to see specifically that I'm really hoping for. Second thing is statistical accuracy and integrity. We want to make sure that every team keeps a very accurate record of what happens in each game, because there's no other way to prove what happened. You can't prove that a team won unless you know who scored and when and how it happened. So we want to keep a very good and very honorable statistical system. And the third thing, I believe that we want to keep a certain amount of fair competition. We want to make sure our rules are set well to start, and we want to, we want to make sure they're carried out well. We want to make sure competition's carried out well. We want to make sure the referees conduct themselves with a certain air of professionalism and integrity. We want to make sure that the game is very well coached and played as officiated as possible. Well, first off, we want to try to have, another thing I could probably add to the list of things we want to do, probably in a more indirect way, we want to have a stronger media presence. We want to make sure that teams have some kind of measure of recording, whether it's broadcasting on the internet, whether or not it's just game film. We want to make sure each team has its own kind of exposure, because one of the things we want to institute as far as fair competition, we want to make sure there's a clean exchange of game tapes. That's one of the things we've talked about, to start out. We want to make sure teams have the correct and proper ability to scout each other. We want to make sure competition is fair. We want to make sure when we start out that these teams are prepared. Obviously, for the first several games, you're not going to have game tape of games you haven't played. But as the season goes along, after a certain threshold, we'll start exchanging game tapes, we'll start scouting, we'll start taking more of an approach towards which players are the better players in this team, or on this team that we're going to face, which are the better players in this league, and that's how we're going to carry it forward. I think one thing we're going to have to overcome is we're going to have to really start promoting our teams. We're going to have to make it a point to get out there, pound some pavement, get the word out that a new league's coming in town, that there's some teams coming to town, that some very talented players on the football field. Yeah, they may not be your Tom Brady's or your LaDainian Tomlinsons or Ben Roethlisberger's, but there's some talented guys playing football, and they're coming to your area, and we want to make sure that we get some fans out, because football became America's game a long time ago. It's no secret anymore that football is America's game. Everybody gets behind it, and no matter what level it is, whether it's professional, college, high school, there are some places where midget league's a big deal. We want to make sure that minor league football works its way into that niche and works its way in the threshold where the country can get behind minor league football as well.